I am the man to beat Daniel Dubois.
You're going to sleep.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for Rifle TV in association with MTK Global. We're in New York City.
We are.
To start a fight week. We're on top of a roof terrace here somewhere in New York. I'm joined by Adam Smith. Excited for the weekend?
Very excited, yeah. I mean, boxing's been buzzing over the last few weeks. We were here a couple of weeks ago for Deontay Wilder's dramatic performance just across town in Brooklyn, and now it's AJ's moment, and he's got to. I mean, it's flipping from one to the other, isn't it? With Wilder, Brazil, AJ against Andy Ruiz, Tyson Fury in a couple of weeks. Unfortunately, they're not fighting each other, but they've got to get their business done. And I think Andy Ruiz is a really interesting fight. You know, Jarrell Miller was all talk, all hype, but you know, you can't do what he did. It's right that he was thrown out of the fight, and in comes Ruiz, who I spoke to very early on after he accepted it, and he's going to go for it. He's got absolutely nothing to lose. He's a very decent fighter. He's got quick hands, big hooks, uppercuts. I think he's going to put a lot of pressure on Josh. And look, it's a fight Anthony Joshua should come through, but it's no means an easy fight. Certainly for his American debut, a lot of pressure on him, a lot of attention on him. And really looking forward to it. I think it's a fight that's going to gel. Not sure how long it goes, but I think it's going to gel. I think it's going to gel well. Very excited.
You spoke to Deontay Wilder after the fight.
I did. I spoke to him a lot before the fight as well.
Yeah, I know, but more specifically after the fight. I mean, obviously, inevitably, you would have asked questions about the Joshua situation, and we can kind of read it two ways from what he's saying. He's saying that the fight will happen, but doesn't really kind of give us an indication of when he believes the fight will happen. So what did you kind of get from his response after he'd knocked out Brazil to comments regarding when that Joshua fight could happen?
Well, before we went to Brooklyn, we spent some time in Miami with Anthony, and he made it very clear to me that he wants to fight Wilder, and hopefully next, as soon as possible. He's frustrated. I think Deontay's frustrated. There's a lot of people involved.
Whose fault is it then?
I think that, you know, when two guys are undefeated and two guys are, you know, huge, marketable heavyweights, it sometimes takes a lot of time. As Deontay said in the post-fight interview, Lewis Bowe never happened. You know, let's not get another situation like that. We all know Mayweather-Pacquiao took years to make. Lewis Tyson took 20 years to make from when they first trained in the Catskills together. You know, these things do take time, and you know, there should be a little bit of waiting. There should be some build-up. But I think what Frank Warren did with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder is he stole a little march. You know, he got Fury in. He took the gamble. Fury was brilliant that night, in my opinion, and most people's opinion. He won by 2 or 3 rounds. Yeah, Deontay got away with that. He could have got the knockout at the end, of course, but didn't. He got the draw. He was a bit shaky against Luis Ortiz, but dramatic, and then he put a great statement on against Brazil to sort of throw him back in the mix. And I think now it's up to Anthony Joshua to put a really good performance on now, and over to Tyson Fury. But yeah, I mean, the fans want to see these fights, but I really do believe, I haven't spoken to Tyson lately, but I really do believe that Anthony and Deontay both want this fight. I think they want maybe 2, you know, one here, one in Britain. I'm sure Joshua would love to have it at Wembley, but I think it works. Maybe they have one more fight each at the back end of the year. Wilder at the Barclays Centre, maybe Josh comes back and fights it at the Millennium, maybe against a Dillian Whyte, a Kubrat Pulev. Dillian's got to get his chance at some point, obviously. You know, he's got a tough fight coming up in July, but beyond that, I think he's got to have a crack at some stage. But listen, we want the undisputed. I got a feeling it's going to happen next year. I really do. I think that they might need an interim one more, maybe where they both go to each other's fights, and you know, that nearly happened when Deontay was going to come to Cardiff, but that, you know, that didn't materialise. I think maybe if Deontay turned up this week, or if Anthony turned up to his next fight, and I just think the two of them, if they got into a room, they could make this happen. I think there's, you know, Shelley Finkel, Al Heyman, Jay Diaz are looking after Deontay Wilder, Eddie Hearn, obviously Freddie Cunningham have got Anthony's interests at heart, and you understand that. So they both want, you know, the majority of the benefits, of the money, of the home advantage, whatever. I think when two fighters really want a fight, it will happen. And I really do believe that both of them want this to come off. The problem you've got is if one loses in between, and then it loses some gleam. But I want to see Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua in the ring once, twice, maybe 3 times, and obviously we want to see Tyson Fury in the mix too.
There's always a lot of talk about Wilder not attending Joshua's fights. I don't believe he's coming to New York this week. I think Shelley Finkel said he is coming. I think Wilder has kind of ruled himself from coming. But to be fair, Joshua hasn't sat ringside for any of Deontay's fights, and that's never brought up of like why he wasn't. Obviously, he's in camp for this fight. It was different for his situation for his fight with Brazil. But I mean, I don't know that Joshua has ever been to any of Wilder's fights.
No, Tyson Fury came, didn't he, when Deontay fought Otto Spilka and sort of invaded the ring and got his name in. Look, Anthony doesn't work like that, does he? He lets he's a cool, calm guy. Tyson ultimately got the fight, so maybe something like that has got to happen. I think it may happen the other way around. Deontay coming to Anthony's fight. He came to the Vladimir Klitschko fight. He worked with me at ringside. It was brilliant to have him. He was in awe of the whole event. He absolutely loved it. And from that moment, I believe that he would fight Anthony Joshua. I really do. And look, they've got mandatories. They've got other fights. They've got money to make. I understand it. It's a business. It's a career. But fundamentally, they want to fight. I think the two of them do want to fight, so it's up to either all the parties to get together once and for all, or maybe just the two of them to get together in a room and work out what they're going to do and then tell everyone else. I don't know. I mean, there's so much money involved.
Does that really work though, with so many people involved in the making of this fight?
Well, it hasn't worked yet, so why don't they try it?
Yeah.
Why don't they try it? I put that to Deontay. Listen, I'll ask Deontay to come on the weekend, and whether he does or not. But as I said, he did come to Wembley. He was going to come to Cardiff, but didn't. So
he didn't come to Cardiff because he couldn't get into the ring. He wasn't guaranteed to be able to get into the ring.
I didn't really understand all that. To be honest, I think it would have made a big splash in front of a huge crowd, a huge audience. But look, it didn't happen for whatever reason, and we move on. But yeah, I'd like to see him come here on Saturday night, or Anthony maybe go to his next fight, be it in September, or it's unlikely they're ever going to fight on the same night unless it's against each other. So maybe that's the idea, that we've got to keep the ball rolling, and hopefully we get the super fights we want in 2020. And then Tyson, of course, goes off to ESPN, and he does a slightly different thing as well. So it's frustrating. We could have the three of them in a sort of merry-go-round for the next 3 or 4 years. They'd all get tons of money. We'll get tons of entertainment. Why isn't it happening?
Good question. I think around that Joshua Klitschko time, Wilder was being linked with a fight with Tony Bellew, if I remember correctly, because they had a little thing going on when obviously Tony.
And there's
Bellew
Dillian Whyte as well,
yeah.
who's in there, and he's waited very patiently. He's done nothing wrong. I mean, apart from he didn't take the Anthony Joshua fight in April. He said that there wasn't enough money and there wasn't enough time, and maybe he's right to do that. But he's got a tough task on July the 20th, I think, and so listen, he gets through at the O2, and he's got to be knocking on the door for one of them. Maybe he will get to Wilder first.
What about the situation that's kind of surfaced over the last couple of weeks with him and Tyson Fury? Maurizio Sullivan saying that he wants to kind of make that fight as for the mandatory slot.
It's a great fight.
Yeah, I mean, but Tyson Fury could have, suppose, taken the fight with Deontay Wilder, but has chosen kind of to do his own thing ESPN-wise. So does it make any sense for him to fight back for his old slot to then fight who he could have fought? Does that make any sense?
I just think that we want to see the best fights. I think the trouble at the moment is that they're all three of them are expected to win their fights fairly comfortably. So you've had Dominic Brazil, who had his shot, told us he was in great shape, and he had his second chance, and we knew he'd lost to Anthony Joshua. He'd won 3 in a row since, and he never got in it. He was blown away. Deontay Wilder expected to win, but made a massive statement in the manner of victory. Now it's over to Anthony Joshua. We keep mentioning banana skins, and you never know, but this happens. It's littered through boxing history, especially at heavyweight. I remember where we were with Buster Douglas and Tyson, where we were with Lewis and Oliver McCall, when Lennox went over to South Africa and got knocked out by Hasim Ratman, and laid the ghost to rest in the rematch. But it was bizarre. No one predicted that, and I think few people outside Andy Ruiz's close family and support, and obviously some of the Mexicans, I believe he's not going to win. But it's a massive opportunity for him. He's a very live opponent. He's got one controversial defeat on the record. he's a good fighter. Aesthetically, everyone's going on about it, but he's a good fighter. In many ways, he's a better fighter than Jarrell Miller. So he's proven. He's more proven. He's fought for a world title. So let's see how Anthony does. I don't think there's pressure on him to do exactly what Wilder did, get rid of Ruiz in a round or two. I think he's got to do what he does. He's got to execute his game plan. He's got to look impressive, and then after that, hopefully, the two parties can get together and really make this Wilder fight happen. And then Tyson Fury fights in a couple of weeks. Again, he's expected to win. So by mid-June, we should be in the same sort of place, shouldn't we? Everyone's got to win, and now we want to see the big fights.
But you don't believe Joshua Wilder will happen this year?
I didn't say that. I think it's more likely to happen next year. My gut feeling is that he'll fight a Luis Ortiz or an Adam Kownacki, Wilder, and Anthony will. I think Anthony's told me he wants to come back to Britain and fight, so maybe he'll fight in Wales against Kubrat Pulev, someone like that. He's got to get a mandatory out of the way as well. Don't know, but listen, unification, undisputed trumps everything. So if they can get together, if Deontay was to come on, Deontay, turn up on Saturday night at the Garden, come with us, come and sit at ringside, come be with us. And let's get this thing rolling, because if Anthony then defends his title successfully, the two of them are together in New York, and maybe they can go off for a few days and come back only when the fight's made. So maybe it'll be one for the back end of the year. More likely, my gut feeling is if they do make it, it will be a 2-fight deal next year, something like that. And I think that makes sense. Maybe the spring in Vegas and back at Wembley or something in September. But there's a lot of work to be done before we can get too excited, but the good news, I think, KUGAN, is that both fighters want it.
Just finally, it'd be interesting. Obviously, we don't know the kind of what's resolved from the Dillian Whyte situation regarding WBC, but if his fight with Oscar Rivas is made for the mandatory slot now to fight Deontay Wilder, and Whyte is victorious there, again, he may be waiting a while to get the actual shot, but that makes things interesting again if he's actually mandatory challenger to Wilder.
Of course, and I think in many ways that should happen. With Oscar Rivas, it's a great fight. It's a fantastic battle that, and Dillian is not taking anything easy here. He is time and time again since the loss to AJ. He's rebuilt. He's got better. He's got a great following. He's everyone wants to see what's going to happen with Dillian Whyte. Can he become a world champion? I believe if the right fight comes about, he can be. Can he beat Wilder? Can he beat Fury? Can he beat Joshua? Some people would say no, but he certainly deserves the opportunity. I certainly think with Wilder, Joshua and Fury, they've all got their different attributes. Fury's got his beautiful boxing skills. He's so awkward to fight. Wilder's got the raw power. He hits harder than any of them. And Joshua's probably the most structured and certainly physically the one who's got, he's certainly got the coolness about him. And look, it's a pick-em, isn't it? We've backed Anthony Joshua for a long time. A lot of people think Tyson Fury beats Joshua. A lot of people think Wilder knocks out Joshua. A lot of people I've spoken to think Joshua beats everyone. So you just don't know. But where does Dillian fit in there? Beat Rivas and get a fight. But if he gets Wilder before Anthony Joshua gets Wilder, is that what the fans really want? It's a difficult one. It's difficult for Dillian, and maybe he should have taken Joshua in April.
Do you think he sits there thinking now maybe I should have just taken the fight in April?
I think he believes he can beat Joshua in a rematch, so I don't really get why he didn't do that at Wembley on a big night in April, but he said the money wasn't right, the money wasn't good enough. And also then the time it took, he said we're running out of time, we can't get a proper camp in, and it all just fell through. But look, he's got his own business to take care of, but he has been sort of left out a little, and if the clamour is to get Joshua, Wilder and Fury together, then Dillian could be waiting around, but he deserves his opportunity. So what would you rather see? I want to see any of these. Yeah,
but I'd like to see Wilder and Whyte. I'm not going to lie. As much as I'd like to see a lot of these fights, that's definitely up there.
I mean, maybe Wilder Whyte in the autumn, and Joshua fights back home possibly against someone like an Ortiz or a Pulev or even an Usyk, and then next year the winner of Wilder and Whyte fights.
Yeah. Put it to him.
I'm trying, KUGAN, I'm trying. I spent time with Shelley Finkel, I spent time with Deontay Wilder. I really do believe, they believe this fight with Anthony Joshua will happen. It's just a case of when.
Adam Smith, thank you very much for your time here on the terrace here, somewhere in New York. And we look forward to a very,
should
very
be a good week,
busy
shouldn't
week.
It?
Yeah.
Callum Smith, Katie Taylor, Joshua Buatsi, Josh Kelly. Great fight with Tommy Coyle and Chris Algieri. It's a really good night at the Garden, and you know, I just can't wait for Anthony Joshua to sort of soak it all up. The American debut takes us back to when Prince Nassim Hamid landed in New York back in December 1997, and that was unbelievable. And I think this has got the potential of being every bit as good, if not better.
A few days to find out. Andy Smith, thank you very much.